and good morning. It's Wednesday of week 11 and we're back with more news and entertainment. Today we will be discussing Storm Desmond after a month's worth of rain fell in just 24 hours and caused widespread disruption and severe floods in Lancaster. Ben Kay, who was flooded out by Storm Desmond, would also be joining us. Stay tuned for Good Morning Lancaster. Back, I am Jack Hill. Let's bring you up to date with the latest news headlines. Junior doctors went on strike yesterday, affecting appointments and surgeries across the country. If you were affected by the strikes, please feel free to contact us at gml@la1tv.co.uk. Storm Desmond that hit on Saturday of week 9 caused widespread flooding across much of Lancaster. The city centre of Lancaster was under feet of water. Water breached flood defences at the major substation in Caton Road, causing power to be lost from 55,000 homes. The university was evacuated the morning after the floods hit due to the power cut that was expected to last for several days. The term ended a week early. Students that could leave were asked to leave, and anyone who couldn't make their way home were put up in the Great Hall or surrounding places until power to their accommodation was restored. The Sugar House was badly affected by the flooding caused by Storm Desmond and is expected to reopen tonight after having had a major revamp of the inside. The floor has been replaced, the booths are gone and the new sound system has been installed. So get down tonight to see the changes. In the aftermath of the flood, questions have been raised about compensation. Electricity North West have said they have had 22,000 applications of goodwill payments. According to Citizens Advice, compensation payments of £70 can be made when homes are out of power for 24 hours and 48 hours in severe storms. If you have any advice for viewers, please feel free to contact us. Again, the email is gml@la1tv.co.uk and anything that is verifiable we'll show on next week's show. We will be joined by Ben, who was flooded by Storm Desmond, in just a minute. As always, LA1 TV were on the scene. Let's take a look at his report when he was on the ground on Saturday night when flooding was worse.
It's early hours of the morning of Sunday the 6th of December. We're currently stood on the corner of China Street. Further below us is Cable Street. Down the A6, it's currently cornered off. The River Loon has burst its banks and Cable Street is currently cut off. Prime student living is currently surrounded by waist-high deep water. Police and fire teams are on scene at the moment. We have seen a rescue boat heading out, collecting people from around the bus station. Power is currently cut off for 55,000 homes around Lancaster. It is expected to come up at lunchtime tomorrow. However, there has been reports that it could be up to 72 hours before the substations are accessible. I'm here with Tony. Tony, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Well, wet.
Do you know anyone affected by the flooding at the moment?
One of my friends lives near the bus station. She rang me earlier, but I didn't manage to get through because I've got no service.
Do you know any of your family affected by the flooding?
No, I'm at university, so my family are back home.
Thank you very much, Tony. We're stood outside a Sugar House. The much anticipated event, Queenmas, was going to take place tonight. However, it has been cancelled due to the weather. I'm here with Matthew. Now, Matthew, we've just seen you outside of Sugar. Are you just walking through?
Yeah, we're just having a look around, seeing what's underwater and seeing what effect it's had on the local businesses and everything.
Yeah, there does seem to be quite a lot of businesses flooded at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen anyone walking through the water?
One or two. We saw a boat near the church on John Street, but yeah, it was pretty deep there, so that was the only way to get through, I think.
Do you know anyone who's actually caught by the flooding or caught off by the flooding at the moment?
Not yet, but if it gets any higher, I will know some people in the morning.
We're now joined by Ben Kay.
Hello.
Hello. Before we talk about your report, you actually flooded, weren't you, Ben?
Yeah, I actually live in Cable Street, so that we originally went down just to have a look at it because I was cut off by that point. I got a text about 9:30 saying, "Ben, come home. Like the water's getting quite high." So I was sat there, I was like, okay, I'll head straight back. So an hour and a half later, I set off, in true my style. So by the time we got down there, it was already knee deep, and I thought, well, I'm not wading through it. So I rang my mate and was like, can we please stop in your coach, please?
Yeah. So is that what you did? You went to your friend's house?
I ended up at my friend's house, yeah.
Right. Did you lose any valuables when you were in the flooding?
No, it was all fine. We lived on the second floor,
Right,
so
okay.
ultimately, like, all our stuff itself was fine. Like the property, the ground floor was absolutely ruined.
Yeah.
And like there was bins turned over and all sorts when we went back on Sunday. It wasn't good.
No.
It wasn't good.
Did your landlord sort everything out for you?
Only just. We finally got back in our property on Sunday night, just gone. So it took them about 5 weeks to get
5 weeks. Yeah.
to get it all fine. Like there's still no internet, but that's the only major issue. Like they've still got to recarpet stuff. There's still quite a bit of work to do on the property itself, but they've made it into a state where people can still live there.
Yeah.
Who can live there. And obviously the properties that were flooded, the actual rooms that were flooded themselves, are still under quite a bit of work.
Yeah. Did your landlord provide you with anywhere to live while your original property was flooded?
They did, sort of. Anyone who couldn't, like the uni were doing, anyone who couldn't leave, they were putting them up where and whenever they could.
Mm-hmm.
They were asking people to leave quite actively, though. If you can go home, please just go home. It would make their lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, there's like 200 people that live in Cable Street,
Mm-hmm.
so I can understand where they was coming from with that remark.
Yeah.
But no, it was a case of, if you need somewhere to stay, we can put you up somewhere.
Yeah.
But they only contacted us on the Tuesday that. So we had Saturday night, Sunday night and Monday night in there with no power and no fire alarms, no safety precautions. So I was quite disappointed with them in that regards.
Yeah. You don't want to be staying in a property with no fire alarms,
No,
especially after flooding.
not especially after flooding, where it all flooded. And it, like, my fear was if the power comes back up and it's all been flooded, that ground floor where I'm guessing all the transformers are from the building,
Yeah.
like, it could very easily be a spark and just catch fire. And if there's no fire alarms, then
No.
it's not really a good situation to be
So
in.
I take it that you didn't, because I take it you were out when it started to flood.
Yeah, I was actually on campus. I was in Furnace Bar where
Were you?
a band was playing, so
Right.
I got the text and I went down to get a buzz and stood there for about half an hour waiting.
Where's this bus?
No sign of buzz. So we were just sat there wondering what to do. So luckily I had my car on campus, which I was going to leave it here because I park it down near B&M.
Okay.
That's where I parked my car. So I thought, I'll leave it here and I'll just get the buzz back.
Yeah.
But obviously at that point I was like, oh, well, guess I'm driving.
Yeah.
So I just drove back into town.
You were quite lucky then because you didn't really have the time to move any valuables away
Yeah,
from
no,
the downstairs or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't have to do anything like that.
We saw your report just then.
Yes.
Morale seemed to be quite high. The person you interviewed said she was fine. And
Yeah.
what was it like on the night?
It was actually quite serenely calm. It wasn't panicked. No one was panicking. No one was running around. It was all very, very calm. It was a very strange situation to be in because obviously people were very worried about the properties and what was going on, but how much people were talking and just the communication that was going on between people. Like, you don't see people just going up on the street just talking to random people normally.
Yeah.
And it was just happening all over the place because what else is there to do?
Have you received any compensation since the flooding?
We've not had to pay our rent
Okay.
because obviously there was nowhere provided initially for us, only if we asked for it. So they have reimbursed our rent onto this term. So we've had 5 weeks where we've not had to pay the rent, but obviously we couldn't physically live there,
Yeah.
which is why they've done it.
When you were in the sugar house, in your report, what was it like there? How badly was it damaged?
It seemed quite bad,
Was it?
but it wasn't massively deep. Like on the report you saw, that was the water level came up to the very top of the door.
Mm-hmm.
So it obviously had got in the property,
Yeah.
but it wasn't very deep in the property. So
No.
I think that's why they managed to turn it around so quickly. Like the floor has been completely ripped out. There is a video somewhere that we've got, I believe, where you can see some of the work being done
Yeah.
in the background. But yeah, so they've had to rip out all the floor. They've ripped out the DJ booth in the middle.
Yeah, I believe they did do
yeah,
that.
so that the booths have been removed.
Yeah,
'cause obviously
apparently they were completely sodden.
Yeah, I've heard that they just soaked up all the water and
Yeah,
just like big sponges.
they've been completely done.
Yes.
So it opens again tonight, so hopefully it's been sorted since
Yeah,
then.
I believe I have heard it has been. It's
Yeah.
all ready for tonight.
Do you know any other people that have been affected by the flooding, Ben?
I know quite a few actually. My friend Victor, who was going to be here today, but unfortunately can't make it now. He himself, like, he was the first person I knew that had got flooded out, because
Okay.
we were stood waiting for a bus, and I ended up giving him a lift into town in the end, because all his house were waiting for a taxi to go to a hotel, because
Okay.
all the house had already been flooded by this point. So obviously I gave him a lift to his friends, and then obviously they got a taxi to wherever they were going. But that entire bottom strip, if anyone who lives down there must have been affected, because it was just so deep.
Yeah, a couple of my friends lived in the Cable Street accommodation. I'm not sure if it's the same place that you live. They lived on the bottom. They didn't live on the ground floor because it was like a basement apartment down there. That was completely submerged. There was that was gone. They live on the floor above, and it was up to their like bed, and her laptop was floating in it. Her notes for her course was all. Obviously, you can't replace that with insurance.
No.
So it's disappointing for
There's
some
some things
people.
that you just can't replace, though.
Yeah, but her land has been really good as well. They've been moved into a new flat. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Nobody was injured or anything like that.
Yeah, that is the one thing from what I've heard. There's no one been particularly injured. I know there was a guy that died in Kendal, I believe, last time I heard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
True, yeah.
which is obviously a shame, but that's the only actual injury that I know of directly because of the flooding. I don't know about secondary issues of people with like proper issues that need medical treatment constantly with power going out.
Yeah.
I don't know the details of them.
Going back to when uni finished a week early, all deadlines were pushed back. A lot of them are now this term.
Yes.
How did that affect your work?
I was quite relieved at that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I
A
had
lot
a
of people
lot
are saying
of work.
it was the only benefit of the whole flooding
it was
situation.
the only, I wouldn't say good point, but the only positive in the whole situation was the fact that, because I had a lot of coursework that
I did as well.
I was falling behind with anyway. I was sat there like, I just need to get this work done, and I don't have the time. But that is the only benefit of the situation. Yeah. The only one.
The only thing now is I've got a lot of deadlines this week, and last term's deadlines now falling this week too.
Yeah.
So.
Which is a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
But we've got that. But luckily I've had Christmas to work on some of the things. So everything from last term was boxed off over Christmas now. Yeah. So once I got power and electricity and internet again.
Yeah. How are you managing with that? Are you doing work in the library on campus?
I'm doing most of my work here at the moment in the edit suite around the corner, but like there's still no internet in Cable Street itself.
Is there not?
So we've no internet at home. So we've become the most sociable flat.
I can imagine.
In that entire building. Yeah, we're actually talking to each other. Yeah, we've got the TV working, so we're happy with that. Yeah, that's the only source of entertainment right now.
Obviously, the electricity was out at uni, and that was one of the reasons it closed early. Do you know if there's any long-lasting effects on the uni?
From what I've heard, no. I know the uni took quite a while to recover from it, because obviously the power requirements for the university are absolutely ginormous. Yeah. So there was sporadic outages. So most Lancaster had power back before the uni. Which obviously, if I was Electricity North West, I would prioritise the rest of Lancaster over the uni itself.
Yeah,
the majority of people in the university are young adults who can normally fend for themselves, if I'm honest. Obviously, there are children that live here, and there are old people that live here as well. But most people are quite young and quite able. Where the rest of Lancaster, you're talking a broad spectrum of people, from old to very young, who need the power, who need the heating on. Especially in winter, it does become a bit of an issue. So I was glad how the rest of Lancaster got the electricity first before us ourselves. But I heard even on the Thursday after the floods, there was an outage when they moved back onto the mains power supply.
It did take a while for it all to go back on, because before I even left, we were days without power. It was cold, but it did get there in the end. But thank you for joining us. We'll leave it there. Cheers, man. Before we go, here is a quick look of what's coming up on campus this week. Tonight is karaoke in County Bar starting at 7:30, and there is a DJ battle between Lonsdale and Grisdale College in Lonsdale Bar. Also this evening, the Sugar House reopens from 11, so get yourself down. Cartmel Winter Ball is happening on Friday night, and the Refreshers Fair takes place on Tuesday the 19th of January, 4 till 7 p.m. That's all for today's show. Thank you for joining us this morning. Siri will be back next week, and we'll see you then for more Good Morning Lancaster.